In this lesson, we're going to explore resampling our data. Resampling means taking our data from one granularity to a different granularity. In our case, we have data that has the daily granularity, and we might want to change that to monthly or quarterly or yearly. Pandas makes it really easy to do this when you have information that is converted into a date, and the Y Finance library gave us date information. So in our last lesson, we looked at making this plot here. This is the close value of Apple on a daily basis for 2010 through 2020. Now, if we look at the data, what we see is this is a series. A series is like a column from a Pandas data frame. In the index here is the date. And in the values, that's what we see over here on the right-hand side, those are the close values. Now, if you look at each row here, each row is a single daily value. Let's assume that instead of wanting to have the daily value, that we want to have the monthly value. How could we do that? Well, we're going to do that with Pandas, and again, this is relatively easy. I'm going to comment these out so we can walk through what's going on here, and you'll see how this works. So I'm taking every other column to get my Apple data. I'm going to call my fixed columns method, pipe that in there to collapse my hierarchical columns, and then I'm going to call resample. Now, what I'm passing in here, this M, is what we call an offset alias. And what an offset alias is it's a string that indicates to Pandas how we want to aggregate this. In this case, the M represents month. We want to aggregate this at the month level. Let's run this. When we run this, it doesn't actually do anything. We get back this date time index resampler object. It has not done anything because it wants us to be able to aggregate something, and we're going to aggregate at the month level. I'm going to try and pull off the close column from this, and let's run this now. And it still hasn't done anything, but you may notice that this is now a series group by object because close is a single column from our data frame. So now we have a series group by object, but it still hasn't done anything. In order to make it do something, we need to call an aggregation method. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tack on mean here. Let's run this. And what we see, if you look at the index now, every index entry is the last day of a month. And then over here, the values are the average or the mean close values for each of those months. This is really cool because Pandas allows us to do things like this, where we say, I want the average for every 2 months, and you just put a 2 in front of that. And if you look over here at the dates, you can see that this starts in January. The next one is 2 months later. This is very convenient. If I want the quarterly values, I can replace that M with a Q, and I can get the quarterly values. Let's put it back to M. And now once you have the data in this form, it's really easy to plot because we have the date in the index and we have the value in a column. We can just tack on a plot there and we'll get a line plot. Here is our monthly close values for Apple from 2010 to 2020.